What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new here, hi, my name is Maddie. I make lots of college videos and other lifestyle videos. And in today's video, I'm going to be doing a roommate kind of like story, my roommate experience, as well as tips and advice for you guys who are going to be incoming freshmen. And after being a freshman last year and living in a dorm, I think that I have a bunch of advice and tips to give you guys for how to be a good roommate and just common things to do so you guys can avoid a lot of roommate issues, especially issues that I had. If you guys like this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell notification so you guys can be notified every time that I upload a new video. So as usual, relax, grab a snack, and let's get into today's video. So I'm just going to kind of give you guys the rundown on how I met my roommate and kind of just a little explanation of how my roommate experience went and why we don't talk anymore. I don't really want to make this a huge big story time video because I kind of want to focus more on the advice and tips that I have for you guys. So if you guys want to move into the tips and not really hear about my experience, then I will make sure to leave a timestamp on here so you guys can fast forward to just the tips and advice if that's what you guys are here for. So I'm going to start out with how I met my roommate. We actually met on a Facebook page, and I know a lot of schools do this where they have Facebook pages for their classes. Ours was like SDSU class of 2022, and it was an Instagram page and Facebook page where you guys can post pictures of yourself and like write like a little bio about you, what you're looking for in a roommate, what your major is, and just things you're interested in. And you can meet friends that way and also meet potential roommates and just get to kind of know people before you guys even step foot on campus. So I definitely recommend looking in to see if your guys' school has that and just kind of looking it up on social media handles. So if you guys want to meet new people, that is a good way to meet them. So I ended up meeting my roommate on the Facebook page. We ended up talking for a few weeks, deciding we were going to be roommates. We ended up getting into our dorm with a third girl and ended up switching out together in October, leaving our third roommate that we randomly got assigned. We got assigned into the dorm Tenochca, and we ended up leaving that dorm. No hard feelings to the girl that we left. Her and I are still friends on social media. We talk every once in a while. We just weren't really happy with our living situation over there, so we decided to move into a bigger and nicer dorm, which is where I filmed my room tour. If you guys wanted to see it, I will leave it somewhere here on the screen. I ended up moving into South Campus Plaza. Again, we were thrown in with another random girl, which was fine. We didn't really have any issues with her. Her and I were super close. We were best friends, and about until the beginning of second semester is kind of when everything started going downhill. I noticed a lot of my things being used, things like tampons, utensils, shampoo, lotion, all of that kind of stuff. I noticed it just her using it and it just getting really low, and I knew that I wasn't using it that much, so obviously, you know, it was her using it. So I kind of had just addressed the situation to the whole room. I didn't really want to, you know, call just one specific person out just because I didn't want anybody to just feel like I was, you know, targeting them or attacking them or anything. And I just kind of let them know like, hey, if you guys want to use my stuff, you know, I'm totally cool with that, but just make sure you guys ask. I just feel like it's kind of polite, you know. Even if you guys have a really good relationship built, it's just nice to still ask. I know my roommate and I were like super close best friends, but I just still feel like it's nice to ask just because sometimes maybe I didn't want to share things, especially if I was low on utensils and I knew that I wasn't going to be getting paid until the following week or something like that. I just wouldn't want my utensils used. So the big issue of why we stopped talking is I ended up catching her stealing a bunch of my clothes. Her and I no longer talk because I caught her stealing my clothes. I found a bunch of my clothes worn in her dirty clothes. I noticed things going missing. I noticed her taking pictures in my clothes, and whenever I'd like be like, hey, you know, I noticed this going missing, do you have it? She would deny it, and it finally just got to the point where so much of my things were missing, I ended up getting a lock for my closet, and I would lock my clothes up and have to open up the lock every day if I wanted to get into my closet. And it got so bad just because I had so many clothes there. I ended up bringing like 80% of my wardrobe home when I came home for Christmas, and I left like just the basic things that I can wear and keep in my closet for me just to keep at school, just because I didn't want her to keep stealing them. You know, I just told her, hey, don't steal my shit. And yeah, it just went really downhill from that. So we stopped talking because she stole my clothes. So that is just kind of the gist of why my roommate and I do not talk anymore. I wouldn't say it's like a terrible roommate experience, but it's definitely just a shitty situation. You know, whenever you meet somebody, you request to be roommates with them, and you guys have a really good relationship built, and then they just end up taking advantage of you and just thinking it's just a free-for-all. So now into the tips and tricks that I have for you guys when it comes to roommates. So the first tip that I'm going to give you guys is to talk or meet your roommate before you guys actually move in together. I know for me, my roommate and I were Snapchatting and texting for like 2 months until we ended up going to school, so we already kind of knew a lot about each other, had a relationship or friendship built. We have talked on the phone before, so it was like we kind of already knew each other. We just hadn't actually like personally met in person. So I definitely recommend, you know, if you guys decide not to go random and kind of, you know, pick your roommate or something, I definitely recommend either meet up with them in person first or getting to talk to them a little more, FaceTiming, and get to know them, just because it'll make things less awkward whenever it comes to move-in day. The second piece of advice that I can give you guys is to address guidelines and rules whenever you guys first move in. I know that's something I wish I would have done. They kind of do push it upon you guys in the dorms, you know, to make a list and whatnot, but they don't really check it at all, and you just kind of think, you know, it's silly. Why should I address rules and guidelines? Like, every person should just know the basic things to being a good roommate. And most of them don't. People do things that they don't even think is annoying or being a bad roommate that somebody else may think is. So I would just say, you know, address rules and guidelines. Figure out a time that like everybody is like going to bed or like lights out, so if somebody else wants to stay up late and study, they can go to the library or a study room, and just kind of have like common courtesy type of things. We really had no guidelines in our room, so sometimes one of my roommates would be up until 5 a.m. studying or sleeping until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and sometimes I'd have like my other roommate coming home super late at night and like bringing friends in when I'm trying to sleep, so they'd be really loud and obnoxious. So I just think it's best if you guys kind of, you know, address just basic rules and guidelines that everyone can follow, so you guys can all be on the same page. The third thing is communicate. Ask, don't assume. And this is a really big thing, especially whenever I had a roommate. I just think it's best if you guys ask before you assume if you can use something. Even if you guys have a good relationship built, just like my roommate and I did, we were literally best friends. We went out every weekend together. We literally did everything together. Even if you think they're gonna be okay with it, it's still good to ask, just because it just shows that you guys are polite and you just have common courtesy. Sometimes people don't want you guys to use certain things. I know for me, like if my roommate would use my shampoo because she ran out, she would just assume that I was okay with it before even asking, and maybe I wasn't. So always ask before you assume, no matter how close you guys are. It's just nice to get their permission before you use their things that they bought with their own money. The next thing is to clean up after yourself. And I know you guys are probably thinking this is such a simple and common thing to do, but you guys would be surprised. In college, a lot of people don't know that. So many people come from different lifestyles. Some people are super independent. Some people are not independent at all and have never lived on their own before, or never learned to do any of this because they had someone else do it for them their whole lives. Just clean up after yourself. You know, if you guys eat, clean up the area. If you guys, you know, take a shower, don't leave like water all over the floor or your hair all in the drain or anything, especially if you guys have your own bathroom like we did. Don't just leave everything out, especially when you guys do your makeup. Don't leave all your shit out on the counter where the mirror is, so nobody else can like come over and like do something at the counter, or leave it out so that it's just a mess and nobody else can use that counter after you. It's just really inconsiderate. So make sure you guys are always cleaning up after yourself every single time. The next thing is not to have guests over every single day. It's totally okay, you know, to have your friends over, hang out with people, be social, but if you guys are living with roommates, especially in my case, I lived with 2 other people, don't just bring 4 of your friends over, because there's already, you know, 3 bodies in the room that live there, plus the extra friends, and it's so many people, and like 2 other people might be trying to sleep, one might try to be studying, one might want to be watching Netflix or something, you know. It's just kind of inconsiderate. So if you guys bring friends over sometimes, like that's totally fine, but don't just think that like your room is the room to party in every single night, just because that's kind of rude. The next thing is to ask or talk about things with your roommates before you guys have people come stay over. I know in my case, my roommate and I never had anyone come stay over, but the roommate that I ended up requesting that I had issues with had people come stay over a few times. She ended up having her boyfriend come once, and then like her stepbrother come another time, and she didn't really tell us or, you know, ask us or anything. We just came home from class one day and her boyfriend was just laying in bed with her. In the morning she would go to class and he would still be in the room sleeping while my other roommate and I are like trying to get ready for class and like get dressed and shower, and it was just kind of weird. So, you know, just ask your roommates or tell them like, hey, are you guys fine with me having like my boyfriend or my friend or somebody come stay the night, just because other people might be super uncomfortable with it, just because, you know, that's their living space too. They get ready there, they eat there, they like do their everyday life things there, and it's just kind of awkward to have like a random person just there in your way, kind of making things a little uncomfortable. So make sure you guys talk about it before you guys have people come over and stay the night. The next thing is to kind of switch roles, and what I mean by this is, in my situation, we had our own bathroom and like our own sink and everything. So like one month somebody would buy toilet paper, the next month somebody else would buy it, or especially with hand soaps, if we ran out, somebody else would buy more. Just simple things like that. I know we had a big box of medicine that like everyone can use, so like when something ran out, somebody else would go buy the medicine, and just kind of have like a schedule. So when it comes down to having to buy more toilet paper or more soap, nobody's like, it's not my turn, or I don't want to do it, I don't have money. Just, you know, make sure you guys like write it down on a schedule or something, or just know when it is your turn to buy it, just so you guys can kind of not have confrontation with that, and everybody does their part as their roommates. The next thing is to be aware of your alarms. I know when I was in high school, I would literally set like 4 alarms before I got up for school, and when you're living with other people in your room, don't do that. Some of them may not have class until 11 o'clock, even though you have one at 8. They don't want to be up at 8 a.m. when you have to be up. I know in my old dorm that I used to live in, my other roommate did this literally all the time. She would not have class until 11 o'clock, and she would start setting alarms at 7 a.m. to be up. And it sucked because she would just snooze them, and then every 15 minutes an alarm would go off and she would never get out of bed. So don't be that person. Set 1 or 2 alarms and then get out of bed. Don't piss your roommates off, because they're going to be really upset if they can't get enough sleep and then have to get up for class after you because they heard all of your alarms. And the last piece of advice that I have is to be kind with your sleep schedules. And like I had said, I had a lot of issues with this. My second roommate and I were kind of on the same sleep schedule. Her and I would get into bed around 9-10 o'clock, even though we wouldn't fall asleep until like midnight. But it was just nice to be in your bed early and like watch Netflix and just kind of relax before you have class the next morning, where my other roommate would be up until 5 a.m. in the room studying, and then going to bed at 6, and then sleeping until 2 o'clock in the afternoon the next day. Don't just take advantage of it and think that just because you're going to sleep until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, your roommates have to be dead silent all the time, because that sucks. Sometimes, you know, your other roommates want to chill in your room while you're sleeping, and just sleeping until 2 o'clock is just kind of inconsiderate, you know? So that is everything that I have for you guys today. All of my tips and advice to being a good roommate, and just things to kind of talk about with your guys' roommates so you guys don't have a bunch of issues throughout the year. I know living with people can be really difficult, and sometimes friendships kind of fade away from that. And if you guys think, you know, living with somebody is going to be great, sometimes living with your guys' best friend isn't always the best situation, because living with somebody is really difficult. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye guys!